Okay, Kevin, talk to me about the permitting process for all this, from the elevation and then what you deal with.
Probably either before or after. I guess it really doesn't matter. You'll get your bid from your company you want to use. Normally they'll have it already done. You'll need to get an elevation certificate done by, what happens if you go into the permit office, they'll give you a list of individuals who do elevation. This is done through their own private.
Is that the parish permit office or the city permit office?
The parish permit office.
Okay.
They'll give you, I think there's about 15 of guys that do now. Some of them do work in the permit office. You know, some of them do this on their own. They'll come out and they'll do your elevation, and they'll put a marking on a telephone pole, a tree, or building, something that's permanently there. That way it won't move.
And each house has to have its very own mark, right?
Each house has to have its own mark.
You can't point to the next door neighbor and say I want the same. Huh?
I've seen it actually put between two houses before, but you have to have your own elevation certificate for your address.
Okay.
And what they'll do is they'll come out, they'll shoot that, put us a nail ribbon or a marking on it, and we go by that marking to see exactly how high the house will be lifted. That's your minimum distance you have to lift the bottom structure of your house. Bottom structure being the bottom of your subfloor. Some do floor height as that. We like to do.
So wait, is it floor height or the subfloor? What's the inspector looking for?
Subfloor, the inspector, that's supposed to be floor height. We'll put it, actually we'll put the elevation at the bottom of our columns, which gives you
the bottom of your columns.
Correct. It'll give you an extra foot if you go on existing, or on our particular one, it's 16 inches that we're giving you above the elevation. Back to that, once you have that done, then you'll need to get your permit, your building permit, and what that covers, of course, all construction. You got to have a building permit, and we'll come in from that. We'll take those numbers, we'll post it on the house, and we'll refer back to those numbers, as needed. Also, you're going to need your other permits. I'm not too sure.
Plumbing, electrical.
Correct. If you have to get individual permits for that here in Lake Charles area, I'm not sure about that. I know in areas like St. Tammany Parish where we've done work, they'll usually put a board out in the front of your house, squares, and it'll say rough plumbing, rough electrical, final plumbing, and you have your permit stickers put on there. It's a pretty good process. We like that process because you can see, and the guys will come if you approve, not approve, and you can get started. Contacts, if you need to get back to them. But that's the initial starting process.
That was probably born of Hurricane Katrina.
Correct. All of that was a lot of changes since Hurricane Katrina in the permitting and in the lifting. I mean, from start to finish, there's been a lot of changes. But the initial start up by the customer is to get that elevation and that permit, and then we can go from there.
Now, how often do the inspectors come out? What's that?
Inspectors will come out. As far as when I'm concerned, before I pour any concrete into this foundation, the inspector will come in. They'll inspect to make sure the rebar is in place right. Just a general inspection of everything's done properly before that cement is poured. After the cement is poured, they'll come out and they'll do an inspection. I think it's after the columns are poured when the house is ready to come down at that point. Then once the house is down, they'll do another inspection then to give you your final inspection on the house. Then getting back to the plumbing and electrical, I'm not sure about individual inspections that come out and do that particular thing, or if it's the same parish who comes.
Okay. All right. Anything else? That's
really about it. We kind of.
Y'all sure do make it seem simple.
Thank you. Like I said, it's a process. It's a step-by-step process that you just you take your time and you take it in that order. Some things come up during those processes that may delay you. The majority, a house would probably take, and it varies depending on what you're doing exactly. Slab separation, if it's on piers already. Total time is kind of hard to say. You've got curing time for cement, which is your biggest delay. Weather is so factor. We have the world's largest umbrella here, so if it rains, doing the foundation work is not, it's not a problem. But it's just a cement curing time for the cement in the masons and the cement we're putting in the slab. So right there, you look at almost 2 weeks of curing time. That and actually nothing can be done. We can't bring the house down onto anything until that cement is cured.
Is there a typical, and I'm sure you get asked this so often, but is there a typical time from start to finish?
Typical, with everything going smoothly, you could almost say like about a month on a house. It just, like I said, there's so much variation in the house. It depends on what we're doing. If we've got to build subfloors, if we don't, if we've got to do slab separation.
Now, you already told, I know the answer to this, but for the sake of anybody watching this, how long did it take y'all to do this subfloor?
The subfloor took 2 days.
2 days.
Most of the times we'll have it up the required height from the slab, which is the size of our beam, 8 inches, 16 inches for the subfloor, or 17 inches for the subfloor. We'll lift it that high. The guys will come in and build the subfloor right underneath the house, and we'll set the house right back down onto the subfloor. And then we'll put the beams, we'll start lifting on the beams at that point to lift on the house the required height we need to go up. So it pushes up 42 inches or so. So it allows them to build the floors underneath. And usually they'll come in Saturday and Sunday, and we're back to work here on Mondays.
And y'all don't take lunch?
Not too often. Not too often.
All right. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you.